Welcome to Lathe and Loom. My name is Cher. Thanks so much for stopping by the channel. I hope you'll grab a cuppa or whatever beverage you have of choice in a project and spend a few minutes with me. I think it'll be a pretty quick update today. I wanted to update you on the status of my two main works in progress, the Lusk Tee by Rebecca Clow and the Sabai #2 top by Susanne Müller. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my SockWeek2025 makes and some learning activities. And then I will just share quickly the results of the walnut natural dyeing that I did last week. And and then I just had one really good knitting learning resource that I wanted to share as well. So we will get started. So first up, I have just a quick update, and I won't talk a lot because I've talked about it in the last couple episodes. This is the Lusk Tee by Rebecca Clow. And I believe last week I may have just been getting to the sleeve. So I've finished the first sleeve, and I have just started finished the short rows on the second sleeve. So liking the way it's worked up. I do have to have 3 more stripes in the ribbing on the bottom to go, and it'll be fairly cropped, but I think I talked about last time the excessive, and I'm going to turn it inside out to show you, amount of ends that I have here. So this is my lesson learned. So first, here we go. This is not for the faint of heart. I'm almost done, but not quite. There's still a few more to go. And then, of course, when I pick up the neckline, I'll have more. So the learning here is no stripes with plant-based fibers, because if this had been wool, I'd have just spit spliced and gone on my merry way, but no, not so much. So it is definitely it is what it is. And I don't really mind weaving them in, but for some reason with this project, it's just kind of weighing me down. So I did catch up most of them, so hopefully we'll be done. I should be able to finish that this week. I don't know. I definitely don't have as much progress to show this week as I have in the past. I think I've just been off on a variety of activities and projects. So there. Let's see. So then the next one is the sabaitop. This is a pattern by Susanne Müller. And last week I had finished, I believe, the front, and I was casting on, about right here is where the cast on you do in the round, and then you do the front. So this is the back. I actually have knit more on this than it looks like, because I've taken it out twice, and both times you can still see, and I haven't blocked it yet, but where the join was here, where you were knitting the round and then went flat, and it's just the weaving in of the ends of the plant-based fiber is just not as seamless, is not probably the best choice, but not as clean to do as it is with the with wool. And there is some wool in here, but no, this one's totally, no, this is 50-50 wool bamboo. So there is wool in it, but you can't tell. But the fabric is lovely. I'm really liking it. It's a very good knit. The pattern's written in pretty concise but enough information. I'm enjoying that. So this is a good, I talked about last week, I love how you have this integrated I-cord. So, I will finish the back flat section. I'll join the round and then just be knit, knit, knit. And then I assume there's an I-cord bind off on the hem because it's stockinette. It may just be stockinette because it rolls, I think, just like the collar. So this will be minimal finishing, which I think is really, really nice, and be a quick project there. So hopefully those two will both be done next week. That would be my dream goal. We'll see where we get to. So that is the two main works in progress. So moving on to Sock Week 2025. So I am participating with Knitty Natty, who this is a open make long. I think I talked a little bit about last week for her Sock Week challenge. So the challenge is to knit one sock in a week. And in the lead up to that, I also have joined her 11 Stitches membership, which I'm really enjoying. And we've done some interesting activities. So I think 2 podcasts ago, or maybe last time, I talked about trying the Vanilla's the new black strong heel variation. And then we were challenged to do an afterthought heel, which I wasn't going to do. But one thing I was very excited about in the membership, there was a class with Denise Santis on the shadow wrap heel. So for those of you who have been around for a while, that is my go-to heel. So learning the heel was not so new, but this was a 3-hour class. I was actually surprised it was pretty small folks on the live, so I had good opportunity. We could interact and ask questions. Denise is a lovely, gracious teacher, so knowledgeable. She's got really good teaching style. If you ever have the opportunity, please take advantage of the wealth of knowledge. She has a book coming out, No Fear Sock Knitting, which I think the pre-order on her website is closed, but you can pre-order on Amazon, or she'll be opening it back up. So definitely, if you are looking to explore sock knitting, there's a wealth of information. And she talked about, like, I'll get out a vintage pattern on a Saturday night and like deep dive into how did they do that, and that's how she kind of nerds out on sock knitting, which is reflective of the vast knowledge base that she has. So in preparation for the class, we're supposed to have a DK sample, like knit the cuff, and then we were going to knit the heel, and I wasn't prepared. Surprise. But what I did have was a sock tube. So maybe I'll fake this out. So I had a long sock tube. And this is made from Super Garn Active yarn. That's not a good focus. There we go. And so I just grabbed it, and for the class just kind of counted up. So it was all joined somewhat thusly. So I counted up real quick where this will be the toe. I'll have to take this waste yarn off and add that on, or add my toe on here. And I counted up to where my heel would be, and I did 2 birds, 1 stone. I did the shadow wrap heel as an afterthought, and I did its mate. So I separated my sock tube. So I have now 2 ready to go. These will be shorties. I will even up and pick up stitches and knit the cuff, and then I'll knit the 2 toes. And what I've decided to pair that with is some of my marigold dyed yarn. So I think that's a pretty good match there. So I will have those shortly. Seems like it's sort of the summer of socks, which again is a little bit hilarious. I have a sock knitting machine. I don't typically do a lot of hand knit socks, but nice to have. Just learning in the community around the event is fun. So I did also cast on for the challenge. So this is to knit 1 adult size sock in a week by hand. And I think I showed last time. So I have the project is in my float tote. This is I talked about this a couple of episodes back, but this is a pattern by Natalie of Knitty Natty. This is the medium size. There's a 1 skein, 2 skein, and 3 skein size. And this is my second one. I have one that I did kind of a little off-pieced and much bigger. And then inside here, I have a bunch of other things, but maybe we can kind of show. Let me take it out. My yarn caked up in this, so it's made so you can easily do color work and switch. So whoa, that was the main color. I actually took this, grabbed just this yesterday in the car. So that's the main color, and then the two. It has a snap. I just hadn't snapped it. And then the two contrast colors here. And this is a sock set from So Happy Jane. And it is the Huckleberry Sunday colorway. The yarn is, and it was a Sock Week exclusive. 75% superwash merino, 25% recycled nylon. So that's what we're knitting with. Have my little, this is a couple of years ago, Sock Week 2023 sock ruler from Twice Sheared Sheep. And get untangled there. And here is where we are. So I've started it just to do a plain vanilla sock. I need to today, my goal, there's a little schedule. So day one, which was Sunday, was cast on. She had a fun cast on party. Cast on the toe. So I did maybe about to here. I did not knit as much on it yesterday. So today I need to finish the foot to stay on schedule. These will probably be, I'm hoping for ankle length. We'll see how far I get because I need to have it finished in the week. But I really I wasn't sure how to use the contrast. I always find that if I try to do toes, heels, and cuffs, I misjudge and something runs out. So I thought, well, I would maybe just do some stripes on the toe and then again around the cuff. But I wanted to, and I'll leave a link below in the detailed show notes where I talk, everything I talk about is typically referenced. If not, my email's there if I miss anything or leave a comment. But So Happy Jane had posted on her Instagram a little kind of sock recipe where she did a little bit of a slip stitch on this striping. So I think when I get to the cuff, I'm going to follow that. And she's got that posted in her blog. So, and I will hopefully insert a picture of it here so you can get a little bit of a glimpse. But it was just something, a little bit different, but still in the vanilla range, if you will. So there is that. Just checking my notes. And then, did I say Denise DeSantis' Earth Tones girl? Hopefully I said that when I was talking about her. Just looking, I don't remember if I said that or not. But so you're probably familiar. She's really popularized the shadow wrap heel. And one thing I'll say again in the class, again, it wasn't so much learning about the heel, but she did have some interesting background. And then one thing that was very interesting is she actually dropped some stitches, so you can see, because as you're knitting the shadow wrap heel, you're doing a short row style heel, and you're using these twin and triple stitches. And I feel like if I've ever dropped one, I've probably just tinked back and not tried to fix it. And so she actually, had, and she was using worsted weight, larger yarn, so you could really see dropped a stitch and then kind of went through her, what you're actually seeing to do that. And I think it really shows that, I'm not a huge swatcher for gauge, but I think where swatching it can be really valuable for a knitter is really making sure you're understanding what's happening as you're doing a different style of stitch and what you might do to fix. So I know on the Sabai top, I had to rip back quite a bit, and that integrated I-cord edge, I wasn't sure I was picking it up correctly, and I did find a pretty good YouTube video that kind of helped me walk back through. But actually, as I was sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, this doesn't work. I'm going to knit a swatch and then undo it, bigger yarn so you could really see. So I do think there's a lot of value to that. My notepad just clicked off, super helpful. So she also had given us a couple of references. So a book, and I've ordered it, so I'll talk about when it comes, is No Idle Hands, and the author was, I just have McDonald written down, somebody McDonald, so I'll talk about that. Principles of Knitting is another big go-to. And I think the No Idle Hands is really talking more about the history of fiber arts and such, so I think that'll be very interesting. And then she also shared with us, I know there's different things around grafting, different stitches. So, talking about the Finchley graft, which you would do, like on the toe. I actually did on the top of, the shadow wrap heel, since I was doing it as afterthought short row heel. And I just used my typical, the one that we don't call Kitchener anymore. I don't know what else to call it. But that's done from the front side of the work, whereas the Finchley graft's done from the back side of the work. And so I guess this is a good part. I'm going to continue to digress a little bit on knitting knowledge, knitting learning, knitting exploration. And wanted to call your attention to the latest episode of Fruity Knitting, which I will link below. And in there, Andrea interviewed Lucy Neatby, and this was such an interesting, when you think of designers like, Stephen West that have these really intricate things, and you just think, oh, how do they figure that out? This was that on steroids. And one thing that was just really, really interesting, especially for me as a machine knitter and a circular sock machine knitter, is one of the first things they talked about is how she uses waste yarn. So the example that she had, I think it was a cuff, but think of it in the context maybe of knitting a headband, right? Normally you would cast on, knit the headband, cast off, and do some sort of joining stitch, mattress stitch or something. She actually cast on with waste yarn, so not unlike my sock, right? And then cast off with waste yarn, and then used I think probably like a Finchley style graft, right? Used the waste yarn as a guide to graft those two, and then you pull the waste yarn off. And she had so many interesting, that was just the tip of the iceberg on what they shared during that. I think their interviews are about 45 minutes, if I'm correct. Really interesting patterning, construction, and she also has apparently a lot of online courses and such. So if you're a Fruity Knitting patron, there's some discounts, but even if not, just to take one of these classes, I just think would be phenomenally interesting and really kind of grow your knowledge as a knitter. So it's definitely on my kind of summer plans list. So I just wanted to call that to your attention if you haven't seen it. It is really an interesting interview, and I think a lot to learn there. So So that sort of sums up a rambly Sock Week 2025 and kind of where I'm working. So I probably could do a whole episode on socks. I have this pair. I have the Sock Week Challenge pair. I have to finish up, knit the mate and finish up the strong heel pair. I'm on the cuffs of the pair that I supposed to cast on last year when we were in Switzerland. So be good to finish that up before year's up. And I think I have one more that's kind of lingering in the background. As you can see, it's so I'm going to get to the end of the summer, early fall. I actually have some nice new hand knit socks. Plus, I'm trying to be more regular about working on my sock machine there. So anyway, that's all about socks and some knitting exploration. So last, I just wanted to give a little bit of a highlight of update on the walnut dye that I did last week. So I did talk about this in the previous episode where I had done this experimental, or I'd done a dye class and we had experimented with a number of natural dyes, and walnut was one of them. So I had a sample for that, and then I brought home some raw walnuts. I soaked them for a little over a week, just outside in the pot. And then I heated that up a couple times, and then I put some wool into dye. I did not get as deep a shade as we got in the sample. That could be for a couple of reasons. One, I crammed 600 grams of yarn into my dye pot, which was stuffed. I am not going to insert a lot of photos. I may do one or two here, but I did record sort of snippets of vlog style as I was doing this. So I will put that together as one separate kind of project vlog episode. So if you're not interested in the natural dyeing, you don't have to watch. And if you're interested in it, you can kind of have that detail. So anyway, so the first batch is here. And so it's a little lighter. I should have brought the other one over. It's quite a bit lighter actually than the really deep walnut that I got with just the small skein. So a lot more yarn. My water could have been, different pH. I have city water. We dyed with well water. This was just the raw walnut. Did not add any mordant, just relying on the tannin. So there's some things you could do there. The wool I used in this batch was Chistari Merino, undyed natural merino. And so it's interesting. Here's a really good representation. All of them have this one slightly tonal, darker spot, and you can kind of see that through. I don't know if you see it in the other skeins if I don't unwind them. I've really got to learn how to skein better. They all have one. This is the one that has the most probably. I suspect it's where it was sitting on the bottom. I was picking them up. You can see it again. And rotating them and putting them back in. But again, this was a very full dye pot. I was moving around and stirring it, but I suspect because there was some sediment on the bottom, it was either that or it was that was the hotter part of the pot. I mean, I kept this and I wonder if that affected the color too. I kept it at around low, always below 160, so I was keeping it at a simmer. Whereas you'll see the exhaust bath, I did get a tiny bit hotter than that, but I'm not unhappy with it. Even at this lower color, I had, let me grab really quick. This is the Dragon's Hoard that I'm spinning up, but wouldn't that look good? I think that would be so pretty. Anyway, so this was planned for its standalone, but I have some color work coming in there. I think that would be just really, really, really stunning. So finish this up. rinsed it, let it dry everything. So I still had the dye in the pot, and I can't throw dye away. So I had 3 skeins of wool to dye for Highland DK, and I had 1 skein of Briggs and Little Briggs and Little Regal. And so I threw those in the dye pot and went through the same thing. I heated them up twice, let them sit overnight. And I got this really nice kind of lighter fawn color. So if you, again, I just think it's so pretty. So I think all of them together could be really cool color work. I don't have a lot of those other natural dye colors. It's just like little flecks, but I wondered if it'd be enough to go around the yoke once or twice where you could get a little bit of pop of those other natural colors. I think the natural dyes play so well together. So this is not so, if it had a little more variation, it'd be kind of like the pearlescent I have from Woolly Mammoth. But anyway, I'm loving these. So I think altogether, pretty good amount of yarn to do something with. So I should have, well, let's see, I had 600 of the dark brown. These were 50 grain, 150, and this was 115. So yeah, like even with just these, I have more than enough to do a nice jumper. So that was the fun with the dye pot. So that is it really for today. Just a quick update. My plans for this week, continue to work on the socks. I will probably, I'm hoping I can get the Sabai and the Lusk Tee, or at least probably at least the Lusk Tee finished up. We'll see how we do with that. I definitely want to stay on the sock challenge, and I don't want to, I typically knit my socks, not 2 at a time, but people have heard it called in tandem or concurrently. So I'll typically do a toe, half a foot, rest of the foot. So usually when I get to the cuff, it's just the 2 cuffs and I'm done. So I'm a little bit out of my normal process to have like 2 sets of socks where I just have 1 sock in progress. So don't want to get that second sock syndrome, but they're all nice yarns and nice socks, so definitely want to finish them up. So anyway, with that, oh, Sadie's popping in. You can you want to come say hello? She's smelling the yarn. Good girl. So with that, I will say goodbye and wish you happy knitting, spinning, dyeing, and weaving. Bye, y'all.